Now, I'm not an NBA player, but I have to assume that it's really annoying playing against James Harden, because you already have to avoid his beard touching you, but then you also have to avoid the fact that if you get within 2 feet of the guy, there's going to be a foul called because Harden is just so good at drawing contact. But he's also been a fantastic player overall for the Houston Rockets. 40-18 on the season. I am glad to say that I was dead wrong on this team, and they've been one of the more exciting teams in the NBA. If you want to swarm Harden when he's attacking the rim, then you have to deal with a plethora of shooters along the perimeter. And the thing that's really shocked me the most is they've been able to maintain themselves defensively. They're like 14th in defensive rating, so they're a mid-tier defensive team on top of being a fantastic offensive one, and it's leading to quite a few victories. And they recently made a trade right before the deadline to acquire Lou Williams of the Los Angeles Lakers for a first-round pick. And if we look at Lou, he has always been a spark plug off the bench, averaging 18 points a game for the Lakers this season while doing it efficiently. The three-pointers are real. He's someone who can hit an open three-pointer, but he can also get his own shot off. And he's also shooting around 60% at the basket, even though he's got a really thin frame. He's a professional scorer, Lou Williams. If you've had NBA TV long enough, you could see the clip of Allen Iverson pouring a cup of water on him his rookie season or something with the Sixers. And now he's grown into a guy who can hit threes, score at the rim, and also get to the free throw line about 2 or 3 times a game for some easy points. So how is he going to fit in with this Houston Rockets team? Let's talk about this one. Does he make the Rockets even scarier? I assume he's going to come off the bench, given that Houston has a good thing going on with James Harden and Patrick Beverley. So when Lou enters the game, I think the first thing we can notice is he's not going to affect James Harden's game too much. I think Harden can still do his normal thing of being the primary ball handler, but Lou will also have opportunities to play off of that and hit three-pointers because he's a good shooter. So when Harden is doing his pick and rolls with Clint Capella and he's going in his ISO game, you can't just leave off of Williams to go help Harden or to help on Harden because, it might be 3 points on the board. I mean, if we look at right after that drive, Austin Rivers, he's just covering Williams and he's like, well, if I leave him, then we're kind of screwed. So he's just leaving his big men out to dry inside the paint. But it's kind of the thing you have to do. It's going to force the defense to be like, do I leave him or do I cover Harden? And then I already mentioned before, being a knockdown three-point shooter next to James Harden, it has a lot of success. I mean, this team leads the league in threes attempted. The majority of them come from James's assists, and they're one of the best teams in the NBA because of it. So I think he's going to fit in beautifully there, but he can also create his own shot as well. So when he and James Harden are playing together, it's going to be 2 guys that the defense really has to pay attention to, and I think if they could get to a point where they're really playing off of each other really well, with the defense just having to deal with 2 guys who can create their own shot, that could be really damn tough to deal with. And I think the Rockets have decided that they're just going to embrace offense. Just add another guy into this mix who can really force the issue. But when I talk about Lou Williams' ability to play off of James Harden as well as dictate the offense himself, it's kind of similar to what Eric Gordon has been doing for them all season. When James Harden is in the game, Gordon can play as an off-ball shooter and a floor spacer. And then when Harden's out, Eric Gordon takes over the offense. And that's been one of Houston's real strengths this season, is whether James is in the game or not, they've still had a really lethal offensive attack. And Eric Gordon has been a huge reason for that. I mean, he and Lou Williams are the top 2 candidates for 6th Man of the Year for a reason. And so now, with the acquisition of Lou Williams, how is he going to fit in with what Eric Gordon is doing? I could see times where the Rockets roll with both of these guys in the game to go up against the other team's second unit. And if they can figure this out, Mike D'Antoni's got about 26 games to get these 2 playing well together. That could be a devastating second unit. I mean, to have 2 guys, 2 combo guards who can run pick and rolls, be in isolations, but then also play off of each other. I mean, typically NBA benches are not that great defensively, and when you have two guys who are averaging nearly 20 points a game, that's going to be tough, man. That is going to be very difficult for a lot of NBA teams to deal with, and it could make the Rockets, who are already the second best offensive team in the league, like one of the best offensive teams ever. I mean, I would not be surprised if they finished more efficiently on the offensive side of the floor than Golden State, because it's that ridiculous the potential these two have while still having James Harden to play with both of them at different opportunities. Now, if you are going to say, well, yeah, but what are they going to do on defense? Well, we have to remember Patrick Beverley is still here, who is one of the best defensive point guards in the NBA, and he's really embraced the off-ball point guard role. Once he came back from his injury this season, the Rockets' defense really kicked up, and the effect that he has just with a guy like James Harden, who's not the best defensively, is pretty huge. He gets in the face of opposing point guards, he makes it tough on them, but I think his offensive game is actually a little underrated. He's averaging around 4 assists this season, so if Lou Williams is in the game with him, then Beverley could also create some offense for Lou. It's not going to be to the effect of Harden, of course, but Lou could still be used as an off-ball player. I mean, he attempts nearly 5 3-pointers a game, and he's shooting around 38% from there. But then on the flip side of things, Williams could keep on doing his on-ball stuff, and Patrick Beverley also shoots around 40% from 3 as well. So the 4-guard rotation that the Rockets have here could be the best one in the league. If it's not number 1, it's definitely up there, because Patrick Beverley can be the defender and 3-point shooter and also be a ball handler who can provide just a little bit of support for Lou Williams as well as Eric Gordon if he's playing with those two. It just gives Coach Mike D'Antoni so many options because he could run stuff with Beverley being the ball handler and then Lou and Eric Gordon running off ball. But then, like I mentioned, Beverley can also shoot himself. So through that whole video, I gave a lot of options for what Houston could do. Ultimately, I don't know the rotation they're going to settle on with Lou Williams. I imagine he's going to play a lot of minutes, and I imagine there's going to be times when he shares the floor with James Harden, sometimes with Eric Gordon, sometimes with Patrick Beverley. But what I am saying is I believe all 4 of those guys can all play off of each other, and whatever combination they roll with, I think can be successful. So, like I mentioned before, this team is 14th in defensive rating at the moment. They've surprised a lot of people, including me, on that side of the floor. So if they can hold up just being good enough defensively and then just being perhaps all-time great on offense, and I think the acquisition of Lou Williams helps that, perhaps James Harden really can lead these guys to something. They might be the second best team in the West, and who knows, maybe they can outscore the Warriors. I don't frickin' know.